I'm Lynelle Long. I was born in Vietnam and I came to Australia as a 5-month-old baby. My white Australian parent flew to Vietnam, picked me up in the middle of the war, brought me home, and I grew up in rural Australia on a dairy farm. And life was pretty tough there because, there weren't many around me who looked like me. And Australia had just come out of the White Australia policy time. So culturally, socially, it was a pretty challenging time to grow up here. The impact of adoption on us is that, it doesn't just stop when we've been transacted and passed to our new family. Being an adoptee, we are an adoptee forever, for our whole lifetime. And in fact, it goes on into the next generation. So my children, are actually impacted by me being adopted and not having access to my origins, not knowing who I am, or not being able to reconnect with my family. It's not just me that's impacted. And it impacts us on such a deep level and in so many ways for our whole lifetime. There's so many phases in my life that I go through where being adopted is the absolute pinpoint of everything. It's hard to describe how overwhelmingly impactful it is, in my life. Being adopted affects us for our whole lifetime, and some really key examples at points in our life where you really notice it. One, would be our relationships. Having a relationship as a young adolescent, as a young adult, even into later adulthood, we are so impacted by the very basis of relinquishment, abandonment. That imprints us forever, and we are forever left acting in survival mode, acting as if we are constantly not able to trust anybody because they will abandon us. So those key relationships, that's where you really notice it a lot for a lot of adoptees. And we struggle to have connected relationships. Another prime example of how we are affected by being adopted is that when we have children of our own, if we haven't learnt to connect to our own inner child because that person was abandoned, and learnt to grieve and learnt to give to our child what we needed to heal from that pain, then we end up inadvertently kind of replaying it out with our own children, and they are then definitely impacted by our trauma. Another time when we are impacted by adoption, which I see a lot in our community, is when our adoptive parents die. That is like another time of being abandoned all over again. And I hear a lot of adoptees also talking about, when their parents divorce. A lot of adoptive parents divorce, sadly, and my statistics show it's around 50% of us. That's a key trigger for adoptees because all of a sudden they lose again with no sense of control or power. They lose another parent figure in their life, and it really triggers that first loss. These recurring themes of loss, grief, not knowing who we are, feeling abandoned, rejected, they continue through our lifelong journey. It doesn't just stop when we got given to a new family. It continues for the rest of our life.